Wow, December is here already. I want to look a bit deeper at how it is that we created what we have done this year, like both good and bad, because there's the course of the year goes and we do certain things and some of them work out, some don't. And it's not just chance. There's a design, there's a structure to that. So I wanted to go back and wind the clock back a wee bit and have a look at the year that was, the year that's just gone. This is a place where those who suspect they're innately wise, brilliant and powerful come to learn how to transform their lives, one cognition, one realization and one blinding flash of the obvious at a time. We are the innovators, the record breakers, the world makers and creators of all kinds. We supersede the suppressive worldview of mass ignorance and awaken the strength within. We are waking up to our innate secrets. My name is Dr. Mark Postles and welcome to the Innate Secrets podcast. Now with this distinction, we can choose to ensure that the upcoming year doesn't see the same pattern. And, wisdom is in the pattern. Wisdom is in looking at what patterns of lost opportunity we have encountered and also patterns of opportunity. So let's just reflect back on that, because if you're like most people, there are areas in your life where you're not where you thought you'd be by now, or even this year, or even a decade or lifetime. So, there's certain cognitions of reality that come in when we look back. And many aspects will hopefully be pleasant and a welcome surprise, but others may not be so cool. So whilst it's not just about dwelling on the negative, it's about being aware of the process and looking at the patterns and then making distinctions going forward. So you may have dropped the ball when some circumstances occurred. They may have been massive or even quite tiny. They may have been something really good. It seems strange that things being easy can cause you to lose the plot, but often it's the case. So when things get too easy, we stop doing the things that got us to where what we've achieved in the first place. And any great coach will tell their team at the beginning of the season that these are the fundamentals. It could be down to this is a ball. This is a baseball. This is a cricket ball. This is a tennis ball, and these are characteristics of it. So it's like chunking it right down to the real small fundamentals, then building it back up again. And some huge distinctions can be made at that level. I dropped in at a seminar on a technique that I've been using for many years now this last weekend, and I was in the town that it was being held, so I just dropped by there around lunchtime and caught up with a few of the people, and came back afterwards and spent half an hour as I was saying goodbye to people, just observing some of the instructors working at the tables with the attendees. And I would pride myself as being pretty competent in this particular process, but honestly, I made two big distinctions, and they were only like different angles of the leg position. But they were distinctions that I've taken back with me and will apply and will change the way I do things. It will be a significant shift. And many people might say, that person's speaking, or that technique's being taught, or that particular process is being taught, and I've done it before, therefore I don't need to go. And that is so wrong. We can be doing things good, but losing the essence of it, losing the plot gradually and getting into behaviors which are not as useful as they could be. So that's an area to consider when we're looking back. It's not only the things that were so-called bad, but it's the things that were good. So it could be said, though, the greatest enemy of success is success then. And when we stop attending the basics, then when everything's going well, gradually things will fall apart. So be really, really aware of that, and maybe look back and see those things that have become ho-hum, have become every day, and you're doing them automatically, and the results will not be as good as when you're really, really sharp on them. That's why training is so critical in whatever you do. So it may have been a bad experience or circumstances that shook you off course and from then on maybe just made you a little wobbly. It might have just been temporary, it may have been something that's continued. Fear does incredible things. If we have an experience that gets us a little bit perturbed, it can change our willingness to engage, and that becomes a problem, because that then affects our behaviours, that affects the outcomes that we get. So it may not be temporary; it may be something that builds in from there on. Without placing judgment on your actions, it may have been that you got within an unuseful company. You hang out with people who are not of a high caliber. And I think as Tony Robbins said, that you're the product of the 5 people that you hang out with most. That when you are in the company of a person, their energy rubs off on you. And yours on them, obviously. But if they're at a lower frequency than you, and your innate is buzzing and theirs is lagging, then over time they will have a tendency to drag you down, particularly if there's a group of people in the same with the same sort of vibration. So be aware of that. Just notice what you've done over the last year. Have you been hanging around with enough high level people? So that's something that you choose strategically, and you make sure that you move in areas like that. You put your hand up and volunteer for activities and roles and associations or businesses or companies that have people who are really switched on, and that coherence of a high vibration passes on to you. So be aware of that, looking backwards and saying, are there any associations that you need to sever or to distance yourself from, and move towards other associations which are more enlightening, enlivening. So maybe you got lazy and stopped doing the things that you used to do that got you the results you may have got in the past, and that's certainly part of these shifting patterns. And as soon as we look at the pattern, then we see, oh my gosh, I'm getting up a bit later. I'm not walking as much as I was. Or I'm not drinking as much water as I was before, and so forth. So little things like that. Maybe you watched the wrong news, read the wrong blogs, believe the wrong Twitters and Facebook feeds. Your mental diet's just as critical for good health as your physical diet, and your innate structure will either cycle up or down, or evolve or devolve, and it has a lot to do with the diet that you're feeding it, the experience that you give yourself neurologically. Maybe during the year you consciously or unconsciously polluted yourself through thoughts and ideas were unuseful for the outcomes that you want to get. I mean, all thoughts and ideas can be useful for certain outcomes. You've got to decide what the outcome is and then match the thoughts and the ideas to that. Or maybe you just let yourself get distracted by bright, shiny objects. And this is something that I have a huge challenge with from time to time, because there's so many great things to do. There's so much to learn. There's so much to discover. And it can occupy your time with low priority activities, or going down rabbit holes and blind alleys, and leaving little time for the high priority action. So that may have been, if you're like me, that's something that may have been happening during 2019. So what this the means is highly likely that during 2019 you wasted time and energy, and yes, your life as well. It's every time we lose a smidgen of our life, or our energy and our time, our life goes there. We can never recover it. So I think it's really important to make sure that we're immersing ourselves in activities that take us towards our higher purpose rather than those that take us away. And therefore we get more creative and more complete if we are going towards those things that are consistent with our high purpose. So be aware of your behaviours and your patterns there. So just reflect on the past year and identify the actions, the decisions, the circumstances that were triggers for you to have less than you could have now. What were the things that made you veer from your path, that took you out of your lane, that took you on sidetracks? And what is it that you can do looking to next year that is going to bring about a change in that? What's going to allow that pattern that you've now learnt from to be managed for, so that it doesn't occur again? So, next week we'll continue this discussion and as we count down to the new year. I want to let you know too that if you are in Australia, watch out for the upcoming Innate Model Missing Link seminars. They'll be on either coast, the east and west coast of Australia, in January. So if you're in Australia, make sure you find out more about the missing link and be there. It is such an amazing 12 hours of workshop. If you're ready to easily let go of the beliefs and the judgments that you hold yourself back with, then the missing link is for you. So you'll find at the Innate Model website, just theinnatemodel.com, and check out the events tab. So we want to see, want to feel, want to experience our innate wisdom expressing in the amazingly unique way that it is designed. And when that happens, you will find that you're just aware of more. You're aware of process. You get out of the content. You start to look at the context of your life, your relationships, your business, and your world. So you'll free yourself up from toxic thoughts and limiting beliefs so much easier when you become aware of this model, how it works. And that's the purpose of this weekend, this 12 hours, Friday night and Saturday. And in the case of the East Coast, it's Saturday and Sunday morning. And so, get yourself a reboot for your brain. Now, the missing link is in January 17, 18 in Perth and February 15 and 16 on the Sunshine Coast. So either place, make sure you get along to the missing link, and I know that you'll get good value out of it. Now, also in January from the 13th through the 18th, and the last 2 days obviously are in the missing link, it's live from the missing link in Perth, we'll be doing an awesome innate model challenge. So there's more about that later, but wherever you are in the world, you can get connected with the inner you in this amazing innate model online challenge. It's a hoot. So we'll talk more about that in subsequent weeks. So until then, have fun with this. Look back with curiosity and look at the patterns and see the lost opportunities and also the gained opportunities too. And then start to manufacture how you can go forward with systems to manage that, so that with those patterns don't get a chance to entrench again, and you will see incredible results as a consequence. So I'm Mark Postles, and have a great week and a wonderful December, great reflections, and we'll talk again next week.